I adore that model.
I'm quite surprised by this pick, actually.
If you buy it, there must be some reason or driving force as to why you buy it.
Dopamine.
That is part of it, yeah.
So why have you not painted one then?
Because it will take 6 months.
I'm going to start off with my wildest wild card, I think.
Why haven't you done that?
Hello everyone and welcome to Paint Perspective episode 75. Today we're going to be talking about our Warhammer bucket lists and the miniatures that are on them. As well as that, we're going to be going through all of the community submissions for Orktober, also our question of the week, and of course our hobby hacks. But first, gang's back together. It's been a minute.
Mm-hmm.
How are we doing?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, you finally got me back. Have I actually been off of it for that long? When was last
we
time?
had like a little gap because we had to record a couple. And then you weren't on last week, so
Yeah, Paul's on last week.
Yeah. Oh, it just feels longer. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
we pre-recorded some. Oh, I'm letting it slip. We pre-recorded some.
no,
Sorry.
I think that
People are aware.
So it feels longer, yeah, doesn't it? It feels like we haven't actually sat down together for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels
How's the hobby been? In
Well,
those
I'm
weeks?
expecting it to be good. He's repping the shirt and he's got the coloured hat on as well. So there's got to be some update regarding Dark Angels.
Yeah, it's been good. I haven't. There's no finished models yet,
Okay.
but I've been playing and I've been just enjoying that side of it really. And I know I'm only going up against George now for that army competition, so I've got ages.
Yeah.
So no real rush for me.
So really, you could say I helped you.
Yeah, 100%.
insert-
Yeah.
yeah.
So
You're welcome.
Where's my handout? Like,
it's been good. I've kind of I did start. I've got like a test model in progress that you could probably put a picture up of now, if you want. I know George likes it when we do that.
Yep.
And I think last time when I was talking about it, I was kind of figuring out like, I kind of want to do this like airbrushy thing and stuff like that. So I've been figuring that out on the test model. I've got like the green down, I think, that I want to with regards to airbrushing, but the urge to just fully edge highlight everything was like there. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like, so even on the test model, like I've kind of started to edge everything. Like I couldn't it felt weird. Like it felt odd. So I think, I'm going to try and bridge that gap between the airbrushing and the full edge highlight thing. But at least I know that for gaming purposes, I can kind of half finish the model without edge highlighting it.
Yeah.
And game with it, and it'll still look all right because it'll be airbrushed. And then eventually I can go back round and actually highlight them all.
has playing the games made you more motivated to paint? Or is it
definitely.
kind of like,
Especially
I'm playing anyway? So
No, it definitely is, because it's that thing of like, especially playing with the same group of people, like I want to try and make sure I've at least got something new to show for it when I turn up at the next game. Like I don't think anyone would have a problem if I literally turned up to every game with like grey plastic. Like none of us seem to care about that. But for me, I just want to make sure I just want to have something else each time. Do you know what I mean? Just to show that there's something. Yeah, exactly. So, and when I'm going up against, like, some of them do have fully painted armies, so it only feels disrespectful, to be honest, turning up with like just base coated or grey plastic and stuff, because I'm like, you've put all this time. Like I was playing with my friend Craig the other week, and I was like, you've put all this time into painting this army. Like, it looks lovely.
did he start at the same time as you?
What, gaming or?
Well, like with the army. So has he been painting his army's been like a passion project of his for the last like year or just over a year, maybe. I guess it's unfair to compare yourself to that then.
No, but I'm just saying, like, just for the very fact, I'm not saying, I should have it there now, but I'm just saying, like, you've put all this time and effort into this and I'm turning up grey plastic. Right. Just feels a bit disrespectful.
Correct
sometimes.
gaming etiquette.
But I am putting that, I'm inventing that and putting it entirly on me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like no one.
There's no external pressure.
Yeah. No, he's not sitting
But I think
there
that's good that you're putting that pressure on yourself.
Yeah, it's I guess it's
because then you'll get an army that's painted really well out.
It's an extra motivation, isn't it, to get it painted, I suppose? Because I know I've obviously won the competition here, so that's the motivation's kind of gone now. So
Paul's chasing George up. He's finished.
Yeah, I don't like this. Weirdly tagging Paul into the competition.
It's right.
Somehow I'm going to finish third, and James has already tapped out.
Yeah, that's a point. I reckon Paul will have his army before me. If Paul's entering the competition, I think.
I don't know. Paul's 2 models, so technically Paul's winning. If you look at it that way, technically Paul's winning.
Do you know what? I had a bit of a mistake with the test model because I did my temporary sub-assemblies.
The
TSA. But this is going to sound weird, but like I couldn't work out the best order to do the TSA.
Elaborate.
So do I paint everything while it's still together, and then when I need to get into the bits that it's hiding, then I TS it.
That's my way. My way of going about it is I build the model fully so I can prime it all in one piece because I don't want to be spraying like little pieces on.
Yeah, so I did all that, all the spraying, and then was
when
on one piece.
I start painting, because you want to get all like the base colors on as much as possible.
Yeah.
Only once something gets in the way do I break it off.
Right.
That's my go-to anyway.
Because I think I basically on my test model, I like fully sprayed it all.
Yeah.
And then when I was going to go in with a base coating, obviously like the chest was like covered anyway, so I would have been only would have got a certain amount of things along before I had to paint the chest. But I just sort of took them all off.
So what you've done is you've primed it with extra steps.
Basically, I think I just did sub-assemblies.
That's just sub-assemblies, yeah. I think you missed out on the whole temporary part of this.
I like was putting them all. I was like breaking them all off, and I was like, "Oh no!" But I don't actually get any benefit from this now.
So everything that we've been banging on about for the last 75 episodes.
Yeah, I was like, now I've just sub-assemblied it, I suppose.
Which was the thing you were trying to avoid.
Which was what I was trying to avoid. So yeah, I remember being like really confused. And then I was like, oh no, yeah, I should probably leave them all on, then paint it. But then it's like an annoying thing of like, if I'm painting red, for example, and there's a bit that's hidden that's red, and there's a bit on show that's red, that means I'm going to have to paint the bit that's on show, get it all painted, then take it off, then paint red again.
There's some overlap. You can't get it perfect, but net overall, it saves you
It's
time.
a bit better, yeah. All right, well, second test model, I'll actually do the...
You need an OTSA, organised tactical sub-assembly.
Yeah.
Should we explain?
Well, I would argue that my one wasn't tactical at all.
Yours was a UTSA, unorganised tactical sub-assembly. Yeah.
Should we explain the temporary sub-assembly thing for maybe some
Has it been a while,
listeners?
It's
been a while.
It's got some new listeners.
Yeah.
We hit 50k subs.
Yeah.
James is going to play this game in 10th, by the way. It's coming up.
Oh, yeah, we've got to do that.
I'll just get the Catachans out. I know people have been asking for that.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain, Joe? As you're a master of the temporary sub-assembly.
Well, I got it completely wrong, so I won't explain it.
George, the floor is yours.
The idea is that when you're building your miniatures, if there's a part that you think later might get in the way, classic example would be like a cape or like a Space Marine captain. Instead of gluing it on with plastic glue, you glue it on with a tiny, tiny, tiny piece of super glue. The whole model gets assembled as normal. To the eye, everything looks perfectly normally built. You're spraying your model, you're doing your base coats.
I did all this.
And then later on in the process, you go, aha, I need to paint the back of the cape now. It's in the way. You just snap it off because super glue's super weak. Now you've got a sub-assembly, but you haven't had to go through the whole faff of pinning stuff at the start, painting everything individually. Yeah. Less efficient with the airbrush, less efficient with the spray can. Mm-hmm. You taking this on, Joe?
Yep. I was like on autopilot, and then I just got really confused. I mean, I was like, what is the benefit of this actually?
User error.
I actually got angry at one point, but then it was okay.
Okay. James, how's your hobby been?
Good, yeah. I feel more fired up than I've ever been for a long time painting. I feel like I'm back to where I was in the sense of enthusiasm for painting when I was just focusing on competitions earlier in 2017, 2018. So yeah, I feel way more pumped. I'm actually
averaging like a priest a day at this point, and
it's been. I'll tell you what, I can't put the models down. They're like stuck to me. So I've been working on the priests for one of my diorama entry, and I've just been enjoying. I literally been enjoying those old models. They just paint up. Do you know what it is? I think because the models aren't as good a sculpt as obviously plastics and things like that, it actually is making me focus way more on doing the absolute best that I can on that model, and I'm focusing on all the details that aren't so good, probably more than I would do on like a perfect plastic model. So because it's this piece has got loads of old metal sculpts on it and it's got plastic models on it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint all the old models first so that I'm consistent with the way I'm approaching those and the painting of those. And I think when I get the plastics, it'll be like the icing on the cake because they're so much better to paint that focus and attention will hopefully transfer from the metal to the plastics, and the plastics will turn out better. So that's the theory behind it. Whether it works is another question.
Well, you've definitely been painting a lot. I feel like every time I open Instagram, it's like, oh, another priest.
Yeah.
I've got 3. So I've got 4 priests in total to paint. 3 of them are nearly there. There's one that was a year old, the one with green robes, that I need to re-go over and redo the face. Needs a facelift. But the other 2, they're on the way. And I've been trying to do colour the robes I've been trying to put a lot of depth into the piece. Like, so the robes represent a rank or a role within the priesthood. So essentially, like the green, he's got a book. So I was like, well, he's more like a librarian kind of guy. He's still got a sword and stuff, so he still fights. But like, and then like the red robes are like stereotypical priest. And then like the guy with the eviscerator who's got the black robes is like any heretics or anyone that they want to off. He's like the executioner. So like, that's why he's got the eviscerator. So yeah, silly little things like that. But like, but yeah, it's been really fun actually. And I've just started doing the Sanctioned Psyker, one of the Sanctioned Psyker models, which is a really, really cool old model. And then I've got some other little bits of obs that have been turned up at the studio. So like I found these really good Cawdor bomb rats, which are like amazing little models. They're like
these models, like, I'd never seen these.
They're amazing
in my life. Have you ever heard of these?
No.
They're just like, you can just get them on GW, like they are just a thing you can buy. Like it's not some old model that's out of stock or anything. I've never seen these models in my life.
They're incredible. One's got wheels, Joe.
They are brilliant. Like they look great. If you have a look at them.
Cawdor bomb rats.
Are they new? Are they old?
Oh, these are sick.
What?
Are these for Necromunda or something?
They are, yeah.
Cawdor is a...
Oh, okay.
Gang.
Yeah.
I mean, fair. Yeah.
They're brilliant, aren't they?
Little rat chaps.
So
yeah.
I'm going to...
They're quite big. Is that a 32 mil?
They've got bombs inside.
They're quite big.
No, they've got to be 25 mil.
They're tiny.
25
They're 25 mil
okay,
bases, but they've got bombs inside them. So like they're going to be a bit bulkier, you know. Like, but yeah. So what I'm going to be doing with these, I'll give a little Easter egg. What I'm going to be doing, I'm the diorama is going to have the Imperium against Nurgle. Basically, is what I'm going to be doing. So it's like 2 different sort of like feels to the like sides on the piece. But I want to do like a priest or like a guardsman or someone like just like he's like almost like the rat master, and he's like got all these bomb rats.
The tamer of rats.
Yeah, and he's like just releasing these bomb rats into this like horde of Nurgle. But then I want the rats to like be fighting against Nurglings because I think it'd be quite funny. Like,
on that note, James the other day.
Oh yeah, I've been farming Nurglings at the office.
Remember the clip of him at Warhammer Fest going around bartering with people for their scrap?
Yeah.
How could I forget?
Yeah.
That lives in my head rent free.
Yeah. Did he come and ask you for Nurglings? Or
Of
were
course
you in?
Of course he did.
I asked everyone.
The other
Joe.
day he was running around the office exactly like that clip, trying to haggle with everyone for any Nurglings they might have in their spare bits
I need
at home.
a lot of Nurglings, and I mean a lot.
The other day I was working, headphones in, busy, like doing stuff, and he comes into my peripherals, and normally if that means like there's something to talk about, maybe something like semi-important or whatever, and he was like, and I took him out and I was like, oh, what's that? I was thinking, oh, what have we got? Like, and he went, if you've got any Nurglings, I need them. And I was like, right, okay, I'll let you know.
I am farming Nurglings at because I need
proper haggling for everyone's Nurglings.
I need loads of them. So as a PSA, please send any Nurglings to PO Box. PO Box. Nurgling needs a home. Yeah, like, literally,
we got the kill team, the box that you were talking about in the last episode.
Yep.
We got that in, obviously.
Yeah.
Straight away. There's some Nurglings in there. Do you reckon we're going to be using them on anything? And I was like, I don't know. I suppose if we paint the models, I would probably be using them. He's like, yeah, but the Nurglings are separate. So he's like, can I have
they are separate. They are. Yeah, no, they're definitely separate. But no, I want to do like loads of little like really because it's a 360 diorama and you can literally turn it and it gives you a new perspective on the engagement between the 2 factions in it. I really want loads of like anchor points as you turn it around. So there's loads of interesting little different things that are going on. And yeah, I thought like the guy releasing a load of bomb rats into like the horde of Nurgle would be quite hilarious. And if they're fighting like Nurglings and stuff, it's quite good. One of them's leaping. I don't know if you saw on that thing. One of them's leaping. So what I want to do is convert the guy so his like hands are out. So it looks like the rat is like jumping out of his hands. I thought it'd be quite funny. So yeah, I've got some really cool ideas for it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to basically be doing with it.
If you're a long-term listener of the podcast, you'll know how important it is to have the right tools to aid you in your painting. And if there's one piece of equipment that I could never live without, it's my Onyx lamp from Native Lighting. It doesn't matter what brush or paints you have if you can't see what you're doing in the first place. The Onyx is the perfect lamp for miniature painting because its super bright 2,200 lumen LEDs cast soft and diffused light on your models without any harsh shadows. And its daylight balanced color temperature of 6500K gives you the confidence that the colors you are painting are accurate. As someone with a very small hobby desk, by far my favorite feature though is its articulating arm, which clamps to the side of your desk, maximizing your workspace. It's also super adjustable so you can sit comfortably in the perfect painting position without sacrifice. It also folds up into a compact shape, which is great if you like to travel to paint with your friends. To upgrade your setup and order yours now, head to siegestudios.co.uk/shop or head to the link in this episode's description. Okay, topic for this week. What is on your Warhammer bucket list? So the idea for this was, we had a previous conversation around the pile of potential, aka the pile of shame. And I mentioned that I have a little wish list that I keep in my phone for whenever I see like a new kit or a new box or something I like the look of. Normally there's like one main pull for that, right? So if there's like a new starter set, there's normally like one or two guys in there that are the real reason you want that box, right? So I normally make a little note of those. And then the idea is that in future, when I'm looking for like my next project, I can refer to the Warhammer bucket list and start ticking them off. So I thought it'd be cool to discuss, I guess, the idea of this and how you can use it for motivation, how it could be beneficial for maybe cutting down on some of the excess plastic that we hoard. And I thought it'd also be cool to talk about maybe some models that we would love to paint in the future, maybe why we haven't painted them. And if we were to paint them, what would the plan for them be? What they'd be used for?
Yeah. I do think it's quite funny, the premise of something that like that we were talking about, like piles of shame or piles of potential, whatever, and then you have this thing of, oh, I don't know what to paint for my next project. It's like, oh, I better consult my notes, otherwise I won't know what to paint. Whereas I feel like everyone just always has like
The next
10 things at once that they want to paint, like half done projects and stuff like that. I think, yeah, in an ideal world, I'd like to consult my notes and be like, oh, I wonder what's next. But in general, it doesn't really.
This is more like this is more of like a rule of thumb for me, because there is like, obviously I do have a few kits laying around. Like I've always got the Blood Angels army on the go and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I've tried to make a conscious push to not like overwhelm myself with stuff that I have.
Yeah.
And I like it to be, rather than I've got all this stuff to paint. I need to do this. I need to do this. Oh god, the backlog's getting too big. I like it to be I think I fancy painting something.
Yeah, I do think that is the best. If you can angle towards that, I think that is probably the best way to
Downside,
do.
if you go too far the other way, and I have fallen into this, you get really, really excited to paint. You consult the list, you find something you like the look of, and then you've got to order it online and wait 3 or 4 days. And by then, you've run out of gas. So
if you'd have ordered it maybe a year or two earlier, then you would have it.
By my own stock.
Yeah, if you'd have ordered it when it went on the list, you'd still have it, obviously. Yeah. That'd be a bit easier.
I see what you're doing, and you're not cheating your way out of this.
Just saying. Yeah, I do think it's okay. Question for you then, because how often do you actually take action on the list? When's the last time you had a model on your list that you actually painted?
My current Iron Skull entry that I'm planning.
Oh, that's a secret.
That we can't talk about.
It.
First rule of Iron Skull is you can't talk about Iron Skull.
Yeah.
Staff cat.
Yeah.
That has been a result of my list. Usually when there's any like competition coming up, I'll typically look at the list, because the idea with competitions usually is you want to paint something you're really, really excited for to keep your motivation up and whatnot. The Blood Angels was a nice excuse to be able to chip away at some Primaris kits that I've always wanted to paint as Blood Angels and never got the chance to paint the sort of level that I would like to. So I'd say fairly regularly, to be honest.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got a very convenient that you can't talk about the most recent one.
I can talk about the main one. Well, with regards to the like other examples from my Blood Angels list, I had the new Sternguard veteran kit had been on my list. The captain from the command, I don't think it's called the command squad anymore.
Company of Heroes, isn't it? Yeah.
Company Heroes.
Company Heroes or whatever it is.
Whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That Company of Heroes was game.
Yeah,
sorry.
that box.
Yeah.
They were on my list for pretty much since they came out. I got the chance to paint those finally. So it's like a revolving door, I think, my wish list. Because I think as new stuff comes along, I might like push some stuff off.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It's got like, so this is similar to, I don't know if I think I've explained this to you before, but the way that my like playlisting works on Apple Music now with Spotify, but I jumped ship. But I have a new music playlist, which is like, if I hear a new song that I like, it has to live in the new music playlist for a certain amount of months.
Yep.
Before it then passes the test to actually go into the library and the playlist.
It's on probation.
Yeah, there's a probation period. And every now and then I'll just stick the new music playlist on shuffle or whatever, listen through, and then I'll either get the itch to be like, okay, you've passed, or actually I was wrong, you're out. So it's similar to
Joe's
that.
like the bouncer for a nightclub.
Yeah,
To his
yeah.
record collection.
Yeah, it has to. So what you're saying is on your bucket list, something can just get the boot if something better comes
100%.
along. It needs to almost stay in probation on the bucket list before it's actually officially on the bucket list.
I don't think it gets the boot. I think it gets moved down the
No,
priority.
he's saying it gets stuff gets removed. It's a
Wait,
revolving door.
What,
He
you
said.
just sack it off.
I try, much as I try to keep the pile of potential minimal, I like to keep the wish list minimal. Something better comes along that I'd rather paint. I've only got so
It's
many hours
gone.
in the day.
Can't-
You're
yeah,
gone.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
What do you mean? What?
Just add it to the bottom of the pile. The pile grows. It's just You never know. Like the thing is, there might be something that is quite high on your list that you.
I love that we've got like one extreme of the spectrum here and then the other end.
Yeah,
of
you know,
James.
Just add it. Just build it up more.
And that's why your entire living room is filled with Warhammer.
No, that's not the reason why the living room is filled with Warhammer at the minute. I'm cutting sprues
And the loft,
Yeah,
the spare bedroom.
Yeah, I mean it's
The work.
It's pretty bad, but yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I don't know. I think that it doesn't so much. Think of it more like football. It gets relegated. You've got your Premier League where you've got all your top teams, and you've got Division 1, Division 2, and then Division Sunday League.
All the way down the bottom.
That's kind of how I kind of see it. Like there's stuff that like I love the model. Am I going to get around to paint it? Probably not. Is it one that's got like a super like? It has a different kind of like pull to me. It's not I want to paint it. It's just I like that model and I want a copy of it. Does that make sense? I don't know.
I like the idea that James looks at a model with prejudice and he's like, not only are you the Sunday League, but you're on the bench. You're not even on the starting squad.
But I am going to buy you.
Yeah.
You never know. It might, someone might suddenly become the most amazing footballer ever and be played every single game. You know, so it just I don't know. It happens, but maybe not often. But yeah, I kind of see it that way. Like I'd rather have the model. If you buy it, there must be some reason or driving force as to why you buy it.
Dopamine.
Yeah, no,
that is part of it.
There's probably that as well. But then I don't know. For me, it's like sorry, not trying to segue back onto what I was saying in the beginning, but like I've had those priests for a long time. Like they're pretty much the age that the models represent. That's how long I've had them. Like, and the thing is like only now that I'm painting them after many years of owning them. So like, I think things do flip around. It also depends. Like your painting doesn't just stay in one area. You're like you might change faction, or you might try and paint something different. You might look at your painting and go, "Oh, well, I've painted armor for 16 years. I've never painted flesh or biological stuff. I've got some termagants kicking around in the cupboard over there." Like you never know. Like, and that's why I couldn't honestly like just axe stuff off.
I think that's fine. But like we're talking about a bucket list. This is like your nominees for best picture.
Yeah,
this is like, do you know what I mean? Like you can't just
football,
like
we've had the
you can't just like it keep going to the point of where you've got termagants on it. That's insane.
This isn't a pile of shame in an iPhone app.
Yeah,
this is.
But that's useful though. Would you not agree? Like
That aside, the idea of this is
I get where the idea
stuff
is.
that you want to paint. You haven't got to it yet.
Yeah.
You might have it in your collection. It can live on the app if you might own it. That's fair enough. I typically try not to. I try to wait, but
Yeah.
I do have a bucket list of stuff, and that typically that's the stuff that's in the cabinet, not in the drawers. I think that's the way to look at it.
So James has a physical placement of what's the bucket list and what isn't. That's quite good as well.
Because then you it's visually an eye shot all the time, and you're like, oh, I'll get around to that. I'll get around to that. And
Sunday League stuff in the drawer, under the bed or whatever,
on the bench, literally. Yeah,
Premier League stuff in the cabinet.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Should we get round to like some of the stuff that's on our
I've got
bucket list?
I've got a few examples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is a model that you've not painted yet, but you would like to paint?
So I've technically built it.
Okay.
I just haven't painted it.
Putting his boots on.
How many years ago did you build it?
Only last year.
Okay. All right.
Only last year.
No.
It was maybe It was either early last year or late the year before. But basically, it was my initial attempt at maybe I will enter Golden Demon. Maybe. And I was like, this is the model that I would do. And I started kind of building it to like place it all out. And then I just didn't paint that much. So I was like, there's no way I'm entering Golden Demon. So it's just sat there.
Okay.
Because I don't want to touch it until, well, we'll get to why I'm not painting it.
I think I know what model it is.
What is it?
Is it the Eldar?
No.
No.
No, it's not an Eldar.
Go on, what is it?
It is a specific member of Gaunt's Ghosts.
Ah.
It is, I believe it's, I don't actually know their individual names. No, it's the guy that's on the tree.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is McCall or something.
I don't know that character. No.
Owen. I don't know how you say it, but I think it's McCall. MKOLL. I think we did a custom service version of him as well. Fairly recently. George is scanning some information now. I don't know.
Owen McCall.
Yeah, him. I don't know how you say it because I haven't actually read the books. I understand a lot of people that love these models probably love them because they love the books and the characters, which I have. I've downloaded them. I just haven't got around to them yet. But
so this is Owen McCall from Gaunt's Ghost.
Indeed, yeah. To be fair, the whole of Gaunt's Ghost box I did love.
Great, yeah.
But that was my kind of favorite one, and I had this theme. This idea to kind of build on the jungle setting a little bit on a plinth, not make a big diorama or anything, but just build on it a little bit. And I thought the model, I just liked the model as a whole. And I think it gave a lot of little opportunities to do different textures and different things. So he's got like a little dagger and I was like, okay, that's like my chance to try NMM properly for the first time because it's a little area. Do you know what I mean? There's freehand camo to go on the cloak, there's skin, there's hair, there's like obviously the texture of the tree, so there's like a lot of different elements to it.
That'd be a great model to learn NMM on because that's a rare Warhammer model where there's not much metal on it.
Exactly. So you could do that. Was my thought is they've got these like knives and that's pretty much the only metal on the models, so you're not committing to paint a lot of stuff in NMM and you're not also having to do that thing that we said before, which is mix and match in true metallics and non-metallics. You don't have to because there's not much metallics on it. It's still sat there. It's on a plinth. I've got the basing material and everything that I bought specifically for it, all put aside. It's built and cleaned. It's in its TSAs.
So where in the process did you lose motivation to carry on with it?
It was literally... Actually, I'll tell you what, I know exactly because it was to do with this podcast. So it would have been when we did the Eldar thing, so January, the January. I didn't have that much time to paint anyway. And then I kind of put some time into that and just like pushed that aside. And then I just got so stressed out with painting and wasn't enjoying it at all that I then just like didn't paint for that long anyway. Obviously, I didn't finish the Eldar thing either. So I think it just sort of, I had this constant thing of little bursts of motivation, especially over the last couple of years, like little bursts of motivation to paint, get really into it, have this idea, but could never finish anything before that ran out. And then I would like counteract it by like completely just ignoring it. So yeah, as I ended up not doing that, I was like, well, if I'm not going to put everything into it and if I'm not really excited to do it, I'm just not going to touch it. So that was a beginning of, would that have been? Yeah, because we didn't know yet that there was no GD this year.
That's right, yeah.
So
in the UK.
In the UK. So at the time, beginning of the year, end of last year, I was still kind of thinking, oh, there'll be GD. So maybe I could enter that. So and that is a model that I've had since it came out. I bought that box when it came out just because I really liked the look of the models. And I thought it was going to be at the time I was painting like kill teams and I was like, well, it's not a kill team, but it feels like a kill team. So
what would it take for you to pick that back up and finish it off?
I think finish it off. Start it.
What would it take for you to start it off?
I think I'm gonna need to get into. I'm going to need to be in the swing of painting.
Regular painting.
Yeah, I'm going to need to be in the swing of it. I can't just randomly start painting it now. Like doing the Dark Angels army has been like, I don't know, not like learning to paint again, but like learning to get into the mindset. And like I was saying previously, like how long certain things take, what am I good at, what I'm not good at, and stuff like that. I feel like I need to get past this little bit and get a good string of months of painting. Yeah, I need to get in the rhythm again before I would even consider doing it. But he's staying there until that happens. So I'm determined to paint it at some point, but
it's a great model.
When that'll be, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Nice. James, what's your bucket list pick? Number one.
Number one. I'll say the most obvious one. Let's just do it.
I will caveat actually because I know what he's about to say. I know along the lines of what he's about to say. I specifically did not choose any like Dark Angel stuff.
Okay.
Because I thought that'd be too obvious. Like, yes, I want to paint the line. Obviously, I do. It's the best model GW have released in God knows how long. But I thought to make it interesting, I would ignore any Dark Angel stuff. Over to James.
Well, so there are some models of the biased persuasion on my list. However, that wasn't what I was actually going to say.
Oh, okay.
So
I jumped the gun.
Yeah, you did. So the model that I absolutely love, it is red, however. I will just say that.
That counts. I'm taking that.
No, that
doesn't. That doesn't.
No, I'll give him. I'll award it.
It is red, but I probably won't paint it in red. I want to do something a bit different with it. I want to paint the Visarch model from the Triumvirate of Yanid box.
This wasn't on my list, but it should be. This is definitely on my list. I love this one. Is that who you thought I was going to say?
I thought
earlier?
you were going to say it, and I was like, Joe's going to steal my thunder.
When he said, the Eldar guy or whatever, that's what he thought I was going to say, because we've spoken about this a lot before.
Oh my God.
Such a good model.
So
what kit is this from?
It's the Visarch.
It's the Visarch. It used to be in the Triumvirate
of Yanid,
which is what Gulliman came out in.
He came in a Triumvirate box, yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah. I adore that model. Like, I honestly think it is the closest an Eldar model is going to look like a samurai. It just, for me, I'm
quite surprised by this pick, actually.
It's just got so many.
I just love it.
So many amazing details.
I'm not a big Eldar person necessarily either.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look necessarily typically Eldar.
I think maybe that's why this has always slipped the radar for me. Because even looking at this now, I'm not like super jazzed about it.
I love it.
Because I quite like Eldar. But I would say, kind of like you said, this is probably about as far away from their typical aesthetic as you can
probably
get.
why I like it.
Okay.
So I'd like to paint him in black armor, but as a Corsair, like Lord or Captain. Like, not Captain, it would be a Captain, but yeah. It's literally one of my favourite models that's not a Marine. There's just so many little details about it. The really cool pose, like the pose of him, like he looks really like stoic and like ready for combat. Like it screams samurai to me, and I absolutely just love it.
I do like how the cape on the back is sort of off one shoulder. That's quite cool.
Yeah,
cool
it's just really it's a phenomenal sculpt. I don't know who sculpted it, so apologies for not saying the name of the person who sculpted it, but whoever sculpted it absolutely Babe Ruthed it. It's just such an amazing model.
So why have you not painted one then?
I've got it. I've literally got it in minor subassembly. So not a TSA, it's in a permanent subassembly.
I'll translate this for the listeners. That means he's opened the blister pack and looked at the sprue.
Cut some bits off.
It is built as best as possible so that I can access everything. And the head is separate as well. So yeah, but I am it's in a baggie, all ready to go. But it's just been one that I've longed off multiple times, and I really, really want to paint it. Like I love that.
Yeah,
model.
I love that model.
The faces on the legs.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, like it's just got so many cool details like on it, and I
love that George is just completely perplexed that we're just in love with this standard Eldar
Captain
looking model.
I don't mean that as a disrespect to the model. I was just expecting James to come out with something a bit more eccentric than that Eldar character.
I've got a few lined up. Don't worry, they get this cliff edge gets steeper. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Like right. So
I've got a pretty eccentric one as well. I'm quite proud of.
We're just warming up, are we?
Yeah.
No, okay. We frequently hear from you with questions asking how you can paint like our team of world-class and award-winning artists. Teaching is something that all of the team here at Siege are very passionate about, and we want to share with you the methods and techniques that we use to paint every single day, all of the incredible miniatures and armies that you have seen from us. With the Siege Studios Patreon, you'll gain access to a growing catalogue of over 300 step-by-step tutorials covering a huge variety of colour schemes, miniatures, painting styles, and techniques, from beginner-focused foundation tutorials to full character masterclasses. Each lesson comes in a beautifully designed and easy-to-follow PDF format with accompanying artist commentary, with new tutorials added every single week. Your subscription also includes access to our private Patreon channels on Discord, so that you can interact directly with our artists, asking for questions or feedback. You'll also be supporting the podcast directly, helping us to bring you these episodes every single week. So if you want to take your painting to the next level and make the most of your very valuable hobby time, head over to patreon.com/Siege Studios.
What is yours? Your first one?
I'm going to start off with my wildest wild card, I think.
I don't even know if I know what like an obvious one for you would be, to be honest, other than...
I feel like I paint quite a variety, much as I'm known for my Space Marines and all. I
Yeah,
feel
but
like
you
in my
also-
day-to-day, I paint quite a variety of stuff.
But you also do actually just paint the things that you want to paint.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know what is left, but go ahead.
All right. Mine is, you might get reminded of this because this was based on a previous conversation. Mine is a Lehman Russ tank for Legions Imperialis. One of the little baby ones.
Why haven't you done that?
Because it will take 6 months.
Why haven't you done that? That I did not expect that. Why? Just paint it then. It'll take like
Literally,
time at all.
literally, that won't take you long at all whatsoever.
So,
Not even an army of them or anything.
one
little.
little Lehman Russ tank.
a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
First of all, Legions Imperialis came out. I guess it was last year now.
Mhm.
I was very, very excited. I cannot understate how excited I was. You saw me, I was giddy when we had the little
Yep.
box. I was like, this little tiny Space Marines. Fantastic. A lot of this stuff didn't come out until later. Like they've done like releases since.
Mhm.
So that pushes the timeline a bit closer to now. Secondly, it wasn't until starting to see some of the comp entries from Golden Demon, both at Adepticon and at Spiel, like the small scale stuff, that I really, really got fired up for it. It's just been a case of, I've had other projects. I've painted quite a lot of stuff this year,
Mhm.
and there's bit with commissions and whatnot. Stuff gets ahead of the queue, not because it's more important to me, but maybe it's just higher priority. We've got GW releases and whatnot. Time's of the essence.
Mhm.
But I would definitely be carving out some time to do some small scale stuff in the very near future.
Oh,
Sounds good.
yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think we've got any booked in. Otherwise, I would allocate you one. But I don't think we've had any. We've had like people ask about it, but I feel like
It's
if you're
cool-
getting
it's
into
cool
those
game
games,
system,
you don't
yeah.
really. You're getting into those games because you want to paint those sort of models, probably.
Yeah, and
right?
I think the investment of like painting doesn't feel as big with something like that.
Yeah.
As well.
Don't be fooled. I will spend just as long on this little tiny
No, I
tank
know
as
you
on
will. I'm
anything
talking
else.
about a normal
Yeah.
person. Saying that, we get a lot of Titanica stuff, which is the same
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing.
The
isn't
thing,
it?
I like the idea of Titanicus because it's a massive wall of Titan in an affordable package that fits on my
but
shelf.
it's still a big
But
model.
it's still a big model.
It's like an old dreadnought, basically.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like painting a knight still.
I think they're bigger than a little box knot, aren't they?
No, not the Reavers. Sorry, not the Reavers. The Warhounds. The
Yeah.
Warhounds are
Okay.
kind of a little bit less than that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Have you ever painted any of the small scale stuff?
No. I've painted Epic in the past.
Okay.
It's not. It's
We'll call it akin to.
It's
Yeah.
about-
Yeah.
It is a bit. Old Epic was a bit smaller, being honest, but yeah, I painted Old Epic, and one of my future entries is Warlord Titan. So,
Okay.
but not
Mm.
plastic one, the
Mm.
Lucius pattern one.
I don't know what that is.
It's the metal one,
Honest?
the old Epic metal one. So,
Okay.
yeah. So
Very on brand.
yeah,
I will say this kind of stems off as well from I've long had on my wish list. This actually bumped up ahead of it, and you'll see why. I've long had on my wish list just
he's getting a cheeky second one in.
You
Look
get
at
a
him.
middle two in.
this is I'm explaining the thought process of how this got here.
Trying to do a double.
Originally, this was the full size Rogel Dawn battle tank
Right.
because that came out and I was super excited for it. It was on the list.
Yeah.
Then they came out with the small scale stuff, the new tiny
So you
stuff, and I'm like,
bumped the Rogel Dawn with an Epic tank.
correct.
Okay.
On that note, Craig, my friend who I was talking about earlier,
Yep.
that army is an Imperial Guard army.
Mhm.
Has a Rogel Dawn in it.
Mhm.
Very cool looking model, to be fair.
Great model.
Ridiculous. Like so strong, like game wise.
In the rules, yeah.
Yeah. It cost more points than my Repulsor Executioner.
It's got more.
And I
guns.
thought, like, with Repulsor Executioner, I was like, yeah, do it.
Primaris,
Like,
innit? Space Marine tank.
Do anything, mate. That
Do you know
roll
what makes it better, Jay? It's got tracks, mate. It's got tracks.
No grav plates on the Rogal Dawn.
No grav plates.
Yeah, what do you need tracks in the 41st millennium for? Get with the times.
It's a real
Such a
tank.
boomer tank.
It's a real tank.
Should we do some more picks?
Yeah.
Joe?
Yep. I have a relatively normal one to pick, I think. Well, there was a couple. There was I'll rattle those off at the end. Yeah, I've got a relatively normal one to pick. I think you'll all be in agreement, but I have come around to a model that I wasn't particularly in love with at
That
first.
happens, yeah,
That a
when it
lot of
first
other
comes out.
people were.
Yeah.
There's been quite a few models I can think of where it came out. I wasn't super excited about it.
Yeah.
And then
It's
a year later,
Yeah, and we've done
Get
some
excited
we've
about
done some great versions of it, and not in a while though. And was flicking through like the current range to try and see if there's anything I was forgetting about or whatever. And I think the Keeper of Secrets
That's a good kit.
model is going to have to go on the list. I wanted to think of like a big model,
yeah.
like that. And
I'm on record as saying that's one of the best GW
yeah,
models
so I
of
know
all
George
time.
is a big fan of it, and I was sort of indifferent to it at the time, even though I've always liked the Slanesh stuff. And I painted is it Lord of Pain that's got the big thing? And when that came out, that was one of those instant like, I want to paint that model.
Yeah.
So I do like the Slanesh stuff, but for whatever reason, I never sort of was in love with the Keeper of Secrets the way that everyone else was. But then, yeah, like I say, we've done a few really nice ones, and looking at it again, I was like, if I was going to pick any like big model, I would definitely go for that.
What build option would you do, and what colours would you do it in?
I think I would stick to like box art colors.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be quite boring in that because that's just
It's Slanesh. It's what
it's like how I'd maybe I would add more like black into like the clothing elements or something like that, because it's very purple and pale sort of pink.
Because that kit is also Chilaxi Hexbane,
Yeah, so
which is like
I think that's cool as well.
It's like the cow head.
Yeah, I think that's cool too. But I think the standard Keeper of Secrets builds is pretty good. There's another build in that kit that's not quite as nice in my opinion. There's like a full body shot with the maybe this with like the big thing. I don't know. Yeah, the main one that you see on the Keeper of Secrets art is kind of the one that I like. There's a lot of like skin to paint, and even the sort of, like the bit with like the like tights or whatever. Like
So fun to paint. Painting that as like translucent. Like
that's what I mean.
fabric.
Like even
so fun.
even the stuff with fabric is like basically like painting skin kind of thing.
Yep. Quite a unique challenge doing that and trying to get it.
And there's a big old robe on it as well.
Yep.
It's just a cool model, isn't it? It's just a really cool model, and yeah, again at the time I didn't.
It
maybe
feels
instantly fall in love with it, but
because of the proportions of that model, it feels like painting. I don't know if you call it like 100 mil scale, like bigger than 75 mil for sure, but like because it's proportional to itself, it's just enlarged, right? Like there's a lot of big Warhammer models, but their proportions aren't anatomically correct, so to speak. That feels like just painting a big model, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, I think actually part of the reason that the thought that when I was looking at it was like, I think I mentioned before, I was kind of flirting with the idea of painting a bust at some point and just learning that way of painting. And I kind of, not that it's like a bust, but it's quite similar
It's
in
bigger,
that. Like,
bigger size, yeah.
Bigger size, and it's all like skin
It's
and
not miles off.
and stuff like that. It's, as far as Warhammer goes, it's pretty similar. Like a big Warhammer model, it's pretty similar to a bust, I guess. The top half of it, if you just cut it and put it on a stick or something. So yeah, I don't know if I will ever actually get around to it, being honest, but
It's on the list.
I would love to. Yeah, it's on the list. Maybe, like I say, it's a recent addition to the list, so it needs to pass its probation first.
And it might get replaced for a bigger Keeper of Secrets.
It might get it might get replaced, but yeah, I think it's like you. So you painted one? Did you say?
Yeah, I painted one.
Did you do one for us?
No, I
Or did
painted
you,
one for myself.
You just did
Yeah.
one.
No, my friend Harry, shout out Harry. He
Yeah.
got me one for Christmas
Yeah.
years ago when I was like early on in my painting journey.
Mm.
Painted that up. good fun.
Do you still have it?
Yeah.
Are you like happy with it still? Or is there bits where you're like, oh, we'll do that different?
Story with that model. It's like
This kind of ties into the question later on, actually.
so. Back in the day when I didn't have a lot of
Your heart playing there.
back when I didn't have a lot of money for like my own Warhammer and stuff.
Yeah.
I would often repaint things to learn new techniques and whatnot.
Oh, so you've repainted
So I
it
fully
already?
painted it, and then I got an airbrush and wanted to start practicing with that. So I repainted it, but I
Yeah.
didn't finish the repaint.
Right.
So it's in a half painted state.
So you've painted it 1.5 times.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's 150% complete.
It is 150% painted. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So 50% of it is on the bucket list.
I'm going to start saying that about like all of my unpainted models. I'll be like, yeah, it's fully painted underneath that primer. I've decided to paint it again.
I don't even think I reprimed it. I think I just like sprayed back over a lot.
If anyone at the weekend, I'm going Warhammer World at the weekend to play, but everything's basically just going to be like,
you'd be like, I
Base
painted
coat.
it all this weekend. I smashed it all out, but I wasn't super happy with the
Yeah,
paint
yeah,
scheme. So I've
basically,
gone back.
all of my stuff is just going to be like primed or sprayed green pretty much. So I'm going to be like, they're all fully painted underneath that, but I've decided to start over. That's all it is. You're looking at 120% painted models here. Thank you.
It's like prestiged. In like Call of Duty.
Yeah, you just keep going up. Yeah. Yeah, that's the true test.
And then he comes out at the end of it with like a tiger striped sword. Like,
yeah. You just have like 10 mil thick paint on the end of it, but yeah.
perfect.
So, well, that's fun. Yeah. But yeah, maybe I'll paint one. Maybe I won't. I'm not sure. But it's a very cool model, isn't it?
It is very cool.
Yeah.
James?
I will join you enough in the scale and make it monthly seasonal, as in we are in mid-November, to give you a bit of a clue.
Ooh.
I have always loved every iteration of this model or unit type, right even back to the
Screamer Killer?
very first.
Screamer Killer, is he gonna say?
It's not the Screamer
Oh.
Killer. I do love that model, and it's
I just
not-
remember
it's
you
not-
being really
it's
excited.
not Premier
about it,
League. It's like it's
Championship.
it's first. It's Division 1 coming up into
Yeah.
like
It's Sheffield United.
yeah, basically. Not that means anything to me. I'm not that into football, but yeah. Sorry for any Sheffield United fans. Yeah.
We know you'll listen, Sheffield United.
They might do.
I have always loved the Hive Tyrant or Swarm Lord. I've always loved that model.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I have tried so many times, like over the many years of playing 40k, I always wanted to start a Tyranid army because I love the whole thing of the faction and their backstory and like just the aggression and like all they're about combat. And like that's just, I absolutely love Nids in general as a race. But I'll be damned if I can choose a Hive Fleet scheme that I love to paint. And the thing is, I think what it is, I get kind of like paralyzed when it comes to try and paint Tyranids. I tried like, I really like blue tone. I've tried like bright green before. I've painted like.
Did you paint one when we done the
We've
challenge?
done a couple.
Yeah, I've done
like
a few
3.
different schemes. A
When
lot
we
of
did
those
the challenge.
A lot of
Yeah,
those
did like 3.
Hormigans were ones that like they're schemes that I really loved. That I would love to have done like an army in, and like I just thought it was a good chance to just tick that box again and paint those schemes. But the Hive Tyrant or not the Flying Hive Tyrant. When I say Hive Tyrant,
Oh, the one without wings.
It's what the
Oh, really?
it's what the Swarm Lord is now. It always was called the Hive Tyrant in the past.
Is that
but,
with
you know,
like the blades?
Yeah, with the
That
blades,
is
yeah.
a cool model. That's
But-
very cool.
I'm on Team Wings personally with that model.
No, I love the one on foot. I love the one on foot.
I think I'm akin to go for the one on foot. You know.
Yeah.
Really?
I normally
the
like
4
some
sword
wings.
arms. Honestly, yeah, like
I really like the
Again-
silhouette of the winged one. It's just this really nice
yeah, the
frame.
silhouette's awesome. Yeah, but but what I want to do is like I wanted to nod to like the previous iterations of the Hive Tyrant with using like a zone throbe head on the Hive Tyrant where it's got that massive like slanted carapace on the top of its head. I've seen quite a few conversions of people who've done it, and that model for me, it's probably one of the most imposing models. I think like it's just like what's more scary than the leader of a massive swarm of ravenous aliens? You know what I mean? It's like just and then the 4 sword arms and like just everything about it is just a really cool model. But again, it's one that's always been there as a little. I'd love to tick that box and paint that model, but I've never got around to it.
I've got one in what I call the drawer of shame, which is when I have a project that I just want to paint something on without intent of necessarily finish it. I want to practice a technique, or it's an idea for a competition piece that I haven't fully committed to. I just want to see how it plays out. have an idea in my head. Maybe I'll start building it. Doesn't work out, so I'll just sort of bin it off. I have this little drawer. It's a sad little drawer next to my desk, full of unfinished / failed / never going to finish projects.
Sunday League drawer.
Yeah, you're like Sid from Toy Story.
Yeah, exactly. And in that drawer is a hive tyrant.
Yeah.
So
What, flying or Swarm Lord?
with the wings?
With the wings, yeah.
That was going to be
Biggest drawer. Mary Poppins drawer.
yeah. That was going to be for GD, the year I did enter. Originally, before I'd done the Black Templar squad, my plan was to do a duel.
Yeah.
And it was going to be a Space Marine versus the Hive Tyrant with wings.
Yeah.
But that didn't work out. So.
No. Yeah, I'll definitely echo your sentiments on
I love that model.
on that model and on Tyranid color schemes.
Yeah.
Tyranid color schemes is like one of those
honestly,
factions that's really
do you know what it is?
That is one of the reasons I've
analysis
maybe
paralysis.
don't love Tyranids is because there's plenty of color schemes there that are cool, but there's none that like stick out to me as like that is the one.
Well,
That
the
is
problem,
perfect one.
I had is I'd start an army because I started it like I've started 3 NID armies, believe it or not. Like I've tried to do a NID army 3 times and I start it, and then what happens is I get sidetracked by another color scheme, and I look at what I've done and I'm like, yeah, I really like that scheme, but oh my god, look at this one. And then I end up with a folder with loads of reference. I've got it on my laptop. I've got a folder like for all different factions and stuff that's got with my favorite like schemes and stuff like that. And the NID one's probably got about 40 photos in it, and they're all different. And I'm just like, I can't pick one that I like. And then I saw Coconut Crab Scheme, and I thought, oh, if I take those colours and do it's a bottomless Mary Poppins pit bag of like.
It's one of those factions with no limits, really. And I'd say when you see someone's Tyranids army, if you pick 2 random Tyranids army, odds are they wouldn't be even the same colour scheme.
Yeah.
Like if you pick 2 Space Marine armies at random, you've got like a 1 in 10 chance that they're going to be the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it does feel like there's a lot of variety with Tyranids. I quite like the box art scheme though. I like Leviathan.
Yeah. Behemoth for me is my favourite, but then I love Red. But like,
I like Kraken. So we've gone all 3, but like still not enough to be like, oh, that is like they're all cool. That's what I mean. Like it's hard to pick, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that is maybe this November I'll scratch the itch by doing something, but we'll see. But like that's a model for me that I is definitely high on the list. It's definitely Premier League.
If you're a fan of the show and you want to support us, then you should know that we have dropped some awesome merch on the Siege Studios shop. We've got several shirt designs with this really cool graphic on it, which has loads of cool painting nods and references. I've been wearing mine all of the time for months now, and I genuinely get compliments constantly from people who have absolutely no idea what Warhammer is. The shirts are really nice, high quality cotton, and everything is in stock and dispatched by us. None of that print to order nonsense. So if you want to check out the designs for yourself and see the other merch that we have on the shop, head to the link in this episode's description or go to siegestudios.co.uk/shop. And if you use the code POD10 at checkout, you'll save 10% and you'll get a free sticker pack with your order. Okay, my one is a new addition to the list. It was an instant smack that on. I don't even think it's out yet.
Not a relegation.
It's the new Age of Sigmar Warhammer Day Slaves to Darkness Chaos Sorcerer Lord.
Great model.
Yeah, I saw this.
Really
Slaves
cool.
to Darkness stuff is always cool.
You actually said that to me as well. You're like, I want to paint that model.
I think I said it like
This was weird though. They really. What one are you talking about? Because they released 2 ones like really close
It's the one
together.
with the flaming thing, whatever it is.
No, I'm talking about this one.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, there was 2 like
no,
straight
no,
away.
I thought it was the other one.
They did one as a commemorative one,
That's
and
the
then
one.
and then one as this.
No, it's the criminal.
So this is a normal. This is a standard one.
No, it's
The commemorative one came out like a week before. It was really odd.
Yeah, I'm talking about just the normal one that was revealed on Warhammer Day.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. Well, it's still a good model. Yeah. I've seen.
I guess similarly to your Eldar pick, I don't think there's anything like particularly crazy fancy about this model. I think it's specific to me. The textures and like elements and materials on this model, I think would lend themselves really, really nicely to my painting style, while still being different enough from what I paint all the time.
Yeah.
So it would feel
It's a really
fresh.
cool model.
It's a great model.
And I really love the helmet as well. It's like his chin exposed. It's quite
Yeah,
cool.
it's very Sleep Token.
Yeah.
Especially with he has like the fur stuff now as
Yeah.
well. So it's like the same.
Gradually descending into a Chaos Warband.
Yeah.
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 No, it's cool. It's a cool model.
Yeah.
It's really good.
There's nothing particularly special about it necessarily.
Yeah.
Just
Would
I
you
saw
go-
it and it was just you know how sometimes occasionally you just see something and it's like, yeah, on the list.
Yeah. Would you go box art colors or would you switch it up?
I would definitely do black armor. I'm indifferent to their cloth choice of the sort of grey. So I think if I was to go off script, it would probably be on the cloth and maybe like the glow colours. I think the base like
They'll
Chaos
stay the
Warriors,
same.
just with the black armor and stuff. I would keep.
Yeah.
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 Joe, what's next on yours?
My like sort of
Let's do the wild card.
obscure,
Yeah, I want to know what that's
pick.
about. Yeah.
So, I have always liked. I spoke before about liking like the fantasy models and stuff like that, and model wise, I've always like lent towards preferring that stuff than the sci-fi stuff. Anyway.
Yep.
And there's plenty of old fantasy models that I probably could have picked, but one in particular that, similar to what you're saying, like there's nothing particularly special about this model at all, but I've just always wanted to paint it, is the Handmaiden of the Everqueen model that they released. So I think I've got to make sure I get this right, but I think in the 6th edition of Fantasy they had a squad of Handmaidens, and then in 8th edition they released a single model to tie in with like Total War.
on foot.
She's on foot.
Yeah,
She's got a big spear.
Yeah.
There she is. Yeah. So that is a single, like, I guess it was a commemorative model maybe back then. It was released to tie in with Total War 2, maybe the fantasy PC game. And it just, as soon as I saw it, I was like, this just sums up like high elf fantasy models to me, at least in
really cool.
as infantry or captain type things go. But one of the things I like the most about it is I've always liked a more, I guess, I'm not always super into like the dynamic poses where they look like they're attacking, like the stuff that James loves with posing. I always think it looks really odd for a model to be like
Mid combat, but there's nothing in front
mid-combat
of
and there's
it.
nothing there. Like it throws me off a little bit.
Yep.
But so what I end up with is a lot of poses that look really quite stoic and defensive. But this one, she doesn't look like she's attacking, but she's like storming forward. Like the way that her
I
like
see what you mean. Yeah.
feet are, she's like charging forward to sort something out kind of thing.
I
I really like that.
I look at that and I imagine like an open field battle, and they haven't actually squared off yet. They're like
Yeah.
the two
And
sides
she's
facing
just
each other.
walking
Yeah.
straight towards it, like proper leader stance.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and answer your question as to why I haven't painted it yet. If you wanted to buy it any time in the last couple of years, you're probably spending about 250 quid,
Really?
something like that. So
Is it one of those fringe ones that's just ridiculous money?
yeah.
Nice.
It's one of those ones. So haven't.
Isn't it funny how things
managed
go? Because
to-
I feel like there's a baseline price for what stuff normally hits on eBay when it's out of production.
Yeah,
And occasionally,
there's one
seemingly just at random,
yeah,
because there'll be some stuff that you think that's going to be worth a fortune one day,
yeah.
and then it's not.
I
And then
mean,
there'll be something else that
look,
just seems so uninteresting.
I haven't looked recently,
Yeah. No,
so I don't know 100%. But
Cough. War boot. Cough.
whenever I've looked, if anyone has one of them at Warboot, you better
Well,
flag that for me on your early rounds before they open.
I'm just saying, there's one coming up at the beginning of December. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I'll be there, but whether a Handmaiden or the Everqueen will be there, I have no idea.
Basically, what Joe's saying is, if you've got one and you'd like to come to Warboot and sell him that model,
Yeah.
he would be very much appreciated.
for less than
eBay prices.
less than £250, ideally.
Oh my God, it's fine cast and it's £250. That's insult to injury, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also fine cast. I think it's only ever been fine cast. I don't think there's a metal one.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
To
If
my-
you have the studio green of that model, then
You've got the master
Yeah.
sculpt. James, what's your last one?
This one is very close to my heart, and I have painted it previously, but it was many moons ago. And I wouldn't finish the triad of models without mentioning a Blood Angel, obviously. I really
thought
want
we were gonna do-
Vindicated, Joe.
Yeah,
Well done.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I really want to paint to a decent standard the Tycho original model. It's probably my favourite, one of my favourite 40k models. I think it always will be. Not in an aggressive, crazy pose, very stoic, very sort of like, a defiant pose, which is what I really love. Obviously, the character's no longer in the IP because he's dead, but like,
Spoilers.
I think that
Some of us are only on book 1 of the Horus Heresy.
he's not in the Horus Heresy.
I know. I've got a while to go, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
Joe's 10,000 years behind.
Yeah, it is the model which, for me, even from a right young age, I remember flicking through various different GW magazines and stuff like that and seeing the Tycho model. And then there was another one that was redone, the same model but redone again later on in full non-metallic. So the original one was in metallics, and then the redone version was done in full non-metallics. And yeah, like it's just, for me, it's probably one of, if not the most iconic model for me in my personal hobby. And it's quite good because there's different ways to paint him. Obviously, there are 3 different ways to paint the model. One obviously in traditional metallics, one obviously in non-metallics, and then you've got where he becomes Tycho the Lost, where he falls to the Black Rage and becomes Death Company. So there's actually 3 different versions. And what I'd love to do is actually have 3 of the metal models and have them painted on a plinth, one of each iteration, which is something just something really to like epitomize my childhood and my nostalgia in one sort of thing, which is something that I'd love to do. And that for me, that model. So it's not painting one model, it's painting 3.
So did you never paint one back in the day?
Yeah, I did. But obviously I didn't paint it anywhere near the quality of what I can paint now, which is still not incredible. But
so like, being a Blood Angels fanboy that you are, you've painted quite a few Blood Angels in the last couple of years.
I know.
Where's he?
I know, because do you know what? It's a model that for me, I think because of how much it means to me, painting him in metallics, I know I'll be able to do to an okay standard. Tycho the Lost, it's the non-metallic one that's actually the scary one for me, which I think I've been open about this on the podcast quite. It's just one thing that for me, I know I can blend colours and stuff like that, but getting the light placement right and all that kind of stuff, it's the intimidating thing, the factor of it. But it is something that I do want to challenge myself and do. So I've actually got one painted black, one ready to be put in metallics, and I've also got one that's already primed and base coated 15% of the process, I suppose, to use Joe's pun from earlier. It's already got the main mid-tone on it already, ready for non-metallics to be started. And that's something that I've put off, and it's been sitting there for ages and ages and ages and ages and ages. But yeah, Captain Tycho, 3 times, one in each version of him in on a plinth is what I'd love to do, just as a personal thing. Yeah. George, third thing?
So my pick is the only one I've noticed on this list that isn't an character.
Ooh. Well, you've already done a tank.
Yeah, no, you'll get what I'm saying. This is, I want to paint a squad or a box of the Free Guild steel helms for Cities of Sigmar.
Oh, wow, yeah, they're great.
Yeah,
they're
that's
cool.
cool.
I know you've got a thing for Cities of Sigmar, so yeah.
Cities of Sigmar, fantastic range that I've unfortunately not had a chance to paint yet, and it's fairly new. So that's part of the reason. But I almost wanted to say like, oh, I'll just pick one of their characters. But like there's so many characters within that infantry squad, if that makes sense. Like they're very characterful sculpts. So I'd love to do some of those.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I've been very open about my love for Cities of Sigmar range, and we've spoken about it briefly before as well. I think they're sick. They're great models. I think they are ones, like you say, they them being a squad or an army is almost like part of it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Like
100%.
a single Cities of Sigmar character isn't really going to give off the vibe that you're looking for with Cities of Sigmar, I feel like.
Unless there's some like fairly ornate like big characters and stuff. There's like the guy on the horse and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I feel like those in isolation are nice, but like little guys like this.
Yeah.
If I just painted like one little steel helm, then probably wouldn't scratch the itch.
You got to scratch that itch as hard as possible.
It's interesting because James has just done one that had 3 models. You've just done a squad. I had one that was going to be I ended up not saying it, that was going to be a bit of a rule bend because it's an entire like starter box.
What was the start?
Dark Vengeance.
We're here now.
No, not Dark Vengeance. I always have this thing of I would.
I'll tell you what. Save it for the post show.
Okay.
Save it for the post show.
Okay.
We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it in the post show for the patrons.
Yep.
To round that out, then, what would you say are the odds of you painting any of these anytime soon? And could that perhaps be a little challenge? Maybe we've all got to tick one off next year.
I'll be up for that.
Next year, definitely. Next year, definitely. If I can get into the motivation, the kind of build some steam, like I'm saying, then next year, yeah, definitely.
So if you've got one of those high elf models sitting in a drawer, you can bring it to Warboat.
Yeah,
please do.
Yeah, well, if again, I'm not paying eBay prices for that. It's ridiculous, especially as a fine cast model.
Yeah.
Probably more likely the Gaunt's Ghost one, I think.
Yeah. Fair. Have I swayed you at all with my little bucket list proposition, the little wish list?
I think it's good. It is a good idea, definitely. Because I think, like I say, sometimes we can get sort of bogged down with this other stuff that we're doing, or the pile of shame or something like that.
But you get a bit too trigger happy with the purchases. And the idea of this being digitized or written down in a notebook, whatever, the proof that you'll like replace
No, I'm agreeing with you. I don't need the sales pitch. I'm agreeing with you.
But I'm saying like the idea that I've had stuff on my wish list that I've like this been booted because there's something else more important. If I'd have gone out and bought that model,
Yeah.
then that's either something that I've got that I feel guilty about not painting, or something that I've got to sell, and then I might lose a bit of money.
Just ignore it.
I just think it's good.
Just ignore it. Yeah, it's a great strategy. It's going well.
Just ignore it.
I think it's just good for like motivation in general. Just to have this list of models that get you.
You know how
excited
James
to paint.
said when he's changed he's dipped out of the army project and now feels like free, and he's got like agency to be able to paint the stuff that he wants. That's me every day.
Yeah. George is this like idealist painter.
Well, you say that, but it takes him what, a year and a half. To
That
paint
is the
7
caveat.
models.
You will spend several years painting everything.
Yeah, that's fine. I think. Yeah,
It's a small little, tiny little
yeah.
caveat. Fair. Okay, we like to do monthly painting challenges, of course, here on Paint Perspective. And October was return of the fan favourite, Orktober. Not one that we invented. That's one of the
Yeah, we can't take credit for that one.
Can't take credit for that, but
It makes too much sense
yeah.
for us to take credit for it.
But also makes too much sense for us to not do it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
of course, in the month of October, we asked all of our Discord members to submit their Orc paint jobs, both for, 40k, AOS, any other games, any Orc-related stuff. We thought we'd go through them, share all of the submissions, as we do every single month. What are our favourite picks? There's so many, as is often the case, that unfortunately we can't address all of them individually, but they'll all be on screen. What are some other favourites?
Do you want to know my all-time favourite that's been submitted, or do you want to know some of the honourable mentions?
We'll start with the honourable mentions. We'll
All
work our way up.
time's a big title, isn't it?
What's that?
All time, your all-time favourite.
Yeah, from all the ones that are in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've got to give it to Warhammer Watson for the Jason Halloween-themed orc with the Jason mask with the severed head in the hand. I think that was amazing. Just got to say that.
I don't think I saw that.
That
Where's
was
that?
absolutely amazing. It is it is absolutely mega. So that's my runner-up because it did make me laugh quite a lot, and I thought it was brilliant. But my favourite one that has been in there is from Nefarious Tim, the Bad Moon war boss in Mega Armor. I thought that was absolutely smashing. The cactus on the base sealed the deal for me. I thought it was brilliant. Just overall really, really lovely. And it's almost got a classic blue to white GW style background as well, which is quite cool. But yeah, I thought that was absolutely smashing. Really, really lovely and vibrant and saturated with colour. Just brilliant.
Yeah, nice. Joe?
I wanted to pick out BK's Black Orc team. It's the Blood Bowl team, the Black Orc Blood Bowl team. I've painted these. These were actually similar.
Painted the Blood Bowl team?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little while ago, because we were all supposed to play Blood Bowl at one point, and I was the only one that painted the team. So, very like rough and ready, get them done kind of thing. But that was a semi bucket list thing for me, because I always thought, if I got into Blood Bowl, I would want to paint that team. Those models are cool, really fun to paint. But yeah, this was cool because he kind of noted about getting back into the hobby, and they've been painted at sort of different increments through that, so they're all painted a little bit different. But I also noticed on the bases, some of them have got like dates written on them. I don't know if that's indicating sort of when they were finished and to compare and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, just appreciate someone putting a full team in. Very cool models as well. Went with red armor, which I toyed with the idea of doing, but I ended up going metallic black. I think they look quite good in red, so maybe I should have done that. But yeah, very cool. Very nice models.
Nice. My pick is Astronet, who has done a really, really cool like blue skin color scheme. And it reminded me of, you'll either get this or you won't. It reminded me of like Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
I just think sort of like skin texture.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really cool. And it's nice to see orcs in a non-green skin. But it's also like a different painting style as well. It's like that nice, like realistic.
Yeah, it's more like Lord of the Rings type.
Looks sick.
Like,
I love it. I really like how the yellow sort of complements it as well, like the pink tones and the blue tones in there. Really, really nice. It's nicely painted as well. Making brain tick with like inspiration, thinking because I quite like orcs. So
yeah. Add them to the list.
Add it on the bucket list. There you go.
Tank's just been relegated.
If anyone can tell us what this model is from as well.
Yeah, I can't quite work that out. But it's a really, really cool piece. And a massive thank you, everyone, for submitting all of your amazing submissions for October. November is #Nidvember. The theme is Tyranids.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So if you want to submit your miniatures to be featured on the next roundup of these, then check the link in the description to our Siege Studios Discord server. If you're not a member already, it's completely free. And we have a little channel in there for the monthly painting challenges. You can share yours with the community, get some feedback and whatnot.
And we love a rule bend.
We love a rule bend.
You don't have to paint a
We love a
Tyranid.
rule
It
bend.
could be a bit of carapace on a base, for example. Carapace on a base. Look at that.
Arguably not even a rule bend, is it? Like we had, put it this way, someone submitted a Tau stealth suit that was literally just an empty base the other week.
No, it was amazing camouflage.
I forgot. Yeah.
That was a great rule bend.
Yeah. So things like that.
Yeah. The idea for these is it's supposed to like inspire you and motivate you to paint something you wouldn't normally paint without any pressure. So the idea is you can just do a little basing bit or something like that. Or you could just do I fancy painting an orc. I'm just going to paint a head from this kit. You haven't got to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's part of the, stepping out your comfort zone and whatnot. Have we got any news this week?
Yes, there is. We've got all the first half of 2025 classes are now on the store. When I say first half, I mean all the core classes. So we've got like EMC1s, EMC2s, some sculpting classes. But there are some new classes, new curriculums that are coming to the website very soon. So we've got a freehand class. So it's going to be a single day freehand, like an introduction to freehand, which is quite a cool class. We're going to have a weekend basing class, which is also going to be a really interesting one. We've had loads of people on classes ask us about, I want to improve my bases and get my more investment of time and effort into those. So we've designed a curriculum to deliver that. So that's going to be really good. And the final one is a secondary sculpting class. So there's going to be some extra stuff to do on this other sculpting class from the first one. So they're the new 3 curriculums that are coming in 2025.
Nice. Is it like a bit more advanced, the second sculpting?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So whereas the first one's a bit more organic, like flames and bones, this one's like actually like adding extra armor and like symbols and sigils and all this kind of stuff. It's a lot more involved. But I'd recommend you probably do the first one before you do something that's a bit harder than the second one.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah.
Check out the links in the description for all that. They're good fun, the Siege classes. You've been on one. I've been on one. You've been on one.
Yeah, I've been on the regular EMC.
Yeah, I've been on.
Great fun. I often I started that as like a turning point in my painting. Definitely. Just like so many things, like just connecting a few pieces, hearing someone else say it, it's like, and show you in front of you.
Yeah. It made me realize how bad of a teacher I am for when I've been showing other people painting. It's like seeing James do it, obviously professionally.
Yeah.
I'm like, take notes. Okay. On that note, question of the week time. Thank you everyone for submitting your questions for question of the week. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on a future episode of the podcast, please leave it in the comments down below on YouTube. You can DM us on Instagram. You can leave it in the Discord. Patrons, you know what to do. All right, find us. We're looking for your questions of the week. Texoset says, when is it a good idea to add to a finished model versus when is it better to keep it as an example to show personal growth?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because we've argued about this a lot.
We've argued about both, actually.
Yeah,
I guess we've advocated for jazzing up some older paint jobs and for not touching them and using them as a moment in time, as James calls it.
I was about to say that. Yeah. Like, for me, it's a moment in time, like when you've done with it. I mean, the thing is,
no, but it isn't.
No,
no, I'm not having this.
I hadn't finished.
You're the one that does go back and adds to your
I was
older
going
stuff.
to finish off and say that I do see it as a moment in time, and you should look at it and go, right, yeah, that's what I've done, and that's where it is. But if it niggles you that much and it really, really bugs you that much, then I would make sure that I do those changes so that it doesn't bug you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, and what I mean by that, I'm guessing you're saying obviously about when I painted Dante, there were things that I still hadn't done on that I wanted to finish that to make it a finished piece.
Yeah.
And that's because I am so enamored with that model.
I think that's it. James has probably just summed it up like as quick as we possibly could. Like, if the model has if there's things on that model that are stopping you enjoying the finished piece, then you're gonna need to then make those changes. But if there's nothing on it, don't just keep pushing on something if you don't feel like you need to, I guess. Is what
because the thing is, you're only going to ruin the paint job potentially by adding more thicker paint and lower layers of paint, more friction on the surface of the model, etc., all that kind of stuff. Like, I'd probably advocate if you're not enamored by the model and it's not something that like it actually is extremely hard for you to let that go and not be happy with it, then I'd advocate basically doing those changes and then that's it done then. But if you can just look at it and go, yeah, okay, like it's not where I want it to be, but I'm not really fussed if I don't make those changes. I think that's when you kind of make that decision, I think, personally.
I think it probably depends on how long ago it was as well.
Yeah,
like
there's that.
Like there's a moment in time I painted this model 3 years ago. That's a moment in time where my painting was at the time. And then there's also, I painted this 3.5 weeks ago. Guess I'll document that. Like how recently do you want to compare it? Like,
Yeah,
does that make sense?
So there's like a cooling off period.
I think so.
Yeah,
Where
14
like-
days.
Where you can
14 working days.
where
yeah.
you can make changes, but if it goes past that, it's expired.
Well, I feel like if it's something within the last like few weeks, then I don't feel like I've made like drastic accelerations in how I am as a painter since then.
so it's still going to contribute to the same moment in time if you
Exactly.
make changes now.
Yeah.
Like how broad do you look at that moment in time? Because I would look at it like, oh, that's where I was at, that year.
Yeah.
Or that's where I was at the start of the year and that's where I was at the end of the year, rather than like, well, that's what I was at in week 37.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean,
I would say if you really are wanting to like strip an older model and repaint it, you can.
That counts as a new paint job, though.
Yeah,
surely.
yeah. But what I mean is, in terms of getting rid of the moment in time,
Yeah.
you can take pictures of it. and
100%.
keep that.
100%.
Like if you really are wanting to repaint something.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true.
But then if it's a smaller adjustment, like what James is saying, then I think that it's a difficult one because it's like you'll just know.
Yeah.
Like you'll know what, as long as you're thinking about it in those ways, you'll realize whether it's worth your time doing it or not.
Yeah.
I think photos are valuable as well. Like almost all of my early paint jobs, I don't have. I have photos of everything.
Mm.
Like basically every model I've ever painted, I have a photo of.
Mm.
So at the very least, I can go back to them. And
Yeah.
like early on, when I was stripping stuff and repainting stuff because I didn't have a lot of models to paint, and I'd sort of recycle models 2 or 3 times, I have a photo of it every single time. I've still got those photos now, so
Yeah.
I still see that moment in time captured.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
Okay. Our weekly tradition on the podcast is, of course, hobby hacks. This is where we share a little quick tip,
Mhm.
hobby hack, product recommendation, something like that with you.
Mhm.
I've brought one to the table this week.
Mm-hmm.
A recent discovery. It's not super exciting, but it is recent and it is relevant.
Right.
So we were talking about temporary sub-assemblies earlier.
Yeah.
So you're still quite jaded about the situation. I found a new discovery for painting aids, if you will. Corks are quite a common thing that people like to use to hold like sub-assembly parts and whatnot, right? Like a little
Yeah.
wine cork. They're a good mini holder or a
Mhm.
good little TSA holder, what
Yeah.
have you.
Yeah.
I, by happenstance, stumbled upon a big like jar that had like a cork lid. It was quite big. It's like the size of like a 50 ml base almost. But it's
Mm.
quite thick as well. It's like a solid chunk. I've realised they're great as like a parts holder because I do my sub-assemblies on like paper clips. And I find that I haven't got enough wine corks to just have like 30 models. And you know,
Yeah.
it's like you knock them over. It's like dominoes, like there's stuff everywhere. So I've now got this like just solid cork slab that
And you
sits on my
just stab
desk.
them all in there.
And I've got them all in there, like
Like a
a their own
pincushion.
little individual hole, like a pincushion, exactly.
Yeah.
And then when I'm ready to paint that little bit, I'll just pluck it out. And I can either just hold the paper clip, or if it warrants it, I've got another little...
So it's like a cork hedgehog.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll call this the hedgehog hobby hack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you get a lot of people do that with like big blocks of foam.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see that.
Like that's what I see a lot.
Oh,
I like
so-
the cork because, like with the foam, once you made a hole in it, it's not really reusable.
Mm.
But cork is kind of like
Self-healing.
self-healing, like
Yeah.
a cutting mat, you know?
If
So
you
yeah.
say so.
The fact you were both saying self-healing, that is mental. Good hack. Good little
Hedgehog
hobby hack.
hack.
I'll definitely use it now that I've accidentally got some sub-assemblies to worry about. So
I find myself now when I'm going around like the homeware aisle,
Yeah.
or like a
IKEA.
supermarket, or even in like TK Maxx, something
IKEA.
like that. So these little jars that are for like putting pasta in, or like little trinkets in your
I did
hallway.
the
And then
other day.
I see the cork lid on it, and I'm like, that make a good little mini holder.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, next time you go to TK Maxx, you have the hedgehog, yeah, I'll have the glass jar for a water bowl.
Oh, I've actually got. We'll talk about it on the Patreon bit, but
Okay.
I've got a thing about
Okay.
the fish bowl.
Okay. On that note, I think we'll round out the podcast there. Thank you very much for listening to this week's episode of Paint Perspective. We're going to jump over now to the bonus post-show segment for our patrons. So if you want to get even more Paint Perspective content in your life, check the link in the description of this episode. You'll get the bonus post-show of the podcast, no ads. And in addition to that, you also gain access to hundreds of PDF and video tutorials, which update every single week. Really, really nice, high quality stuff on there. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Joe, do you want to go ahead with your wild card?
It's ended up being my water bowl, which is basically, it's somewhere between a normal person's water pot and James's fish bowl, I think. But I would say, as you can see by the pictures, I'm quite enjoying it.